Good evening. My name is Gabrielle Stritch, and my current role here is as program chair. And I thought it would be fun to do some programs that are a little different, but still informative and useful. So what could be better than humor in mediation? And the person that is bringing this topic to you is highly qualified. Her name is Noreen Braman. Her day job is program manager for New Jersey Lawyers Assistance Program. So she's quite familiar with lawyers as a minimum. She's a strategic communications professional, and she's also a published author. She has written Trending Water, which is a collection of humor columns and essays. She's a member of the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor. She's added the practice of laughter yoga, which you'll have to explain to us, for her life in 2010. She did additional training in laughter wellness in 2012, and she helps others to laugh for no reason at all for the health of it through her Smile Side of Life, Laughter and Happiness Club presentations and special events. She's been featured on EBTV3's Wellness Spotlight, and she's received numerous awards over the years for design, writing, and video production. I give you Noreen Braman. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. My boss likes to say that really we should under-promise and over-deliver. So that was kind of a really shiny kind of introduction, and I'm gonna do my best to live up with it. We're here tonight to talk about humor in mediation. It almost sounds like two things that don't go together. But I found this cartoon, which kind of helps you have a little bit lighter look at some things in mediation. And we're going to talk about why humor is important both for when you're working with clients and also for you personally. So I'd like to just welcome you to the Smile Side of Life. And let's begin. So the first thing we're going to talk about right from the get-go is humor and laughter with your clients. Is this appropriate? Is this something you can do? Does it add anything or detract? For those involved in disputes, sometimes the sense of humor is the first thing to go. People become very sensitive, very highly sensitized to the things that are bothering them, whatever the subject is at hand, and humor can really go over flat in a situation like that. However, we do know that used properly, humor can diffuse tension. Studies in negotiations, I know that's a little bit different from mediation, but negotiators have found through studies that showing funny videos to their clients and participants prior to going into negotiation will actually help things be resolved faster. Now, of course, they did that on a study basis. I don't know how you're going to arrange something like that with your clients, but it's a good thing to remember as we move along. I read a lot of papers written by very scholarly people about humor in mediation. I read a lot of pages that talked about humor, what humor is, the different types of humor. Not one of those papers really gave any practical advice for using humor in mediation other than telling jokes. I have to tell you that I do not recommend telling jokes. Okay, first of all, it puts a lot of pressure on the person telling the jokes, that all of a sudden you're a performer, not a professional. And jokes, as we'll get into later on, can be a really minefield for anybody in the kind of business you're in. So in a way, I told you there's lots of papers. I can tell you a whole stack of things I read, not much training. So what are you going to do? Okay, I went online and I looked up one guy who the title of his little presentation was, "Let's talk about humor in mediation." And I said, wow, this is a really good guy, and we can put him on, and let's see what you think of him. Let's see. I don't know, is this person familiar to any of you? Michael McWilliams, is he known as an expert in mediation? Okay.
In order to be an effective mediator, you have to be very patient. You have to listen. You have to understand. You have to have the ability to be flexible and shape different proposals. And the other part is very personal. I mean, you've got to have a personality that works. There's some people who have personalities that just turn everybody off, and that they can't be effective mediators. Humor is one of the most useful tools there is in mediation. Mediation, by its very nature, has a tendency to, especially in the joint sessions, to be confrontational. Toward the end of the day, people get tired. They get strung out. Some people take themselves too seriously. And humor can do an awful lot to alleviate the negative impact of those things, but you have to be very careful what you say, how you say it.
There's risk associated with humor.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Did he seem like a guy who had really a sense of humor? Did he seem like somebody who was like really interested in helping you add humor to your work? He actually looked to me like somebody who like wanted to fall asleep. I didn't want to say that at first because I thought maybe he's like a really well-respected expert in the field, and I didn't want to, make anybody mad. But anyway, he wasn't my favorite person for telling you about humor. The truth is that you don't want to be a comedian, you don't want to be a performer, you don't want to tell jokes, but what you do want to do is smile and have a pleasant demeanor. This is hard to pull off all the time, especially if you're involved in something where the parties are really not getting along with each other. But the truth of the matter is, and we'll get into this in a little bit, that smiling by itself can change the whole outcome of what you're doing. If you turn in your handout to, in the end, you'll see a little story by Karen Buxton. And I apologize for the teeny tiny print of this article. Sometimes you print things from the internet and they just are not what you expect when you get it printed out.
Which one is it?
So it's the last page, the last two pages actually. Karen Buxton is a well-known laughter therapist, and she speaks a lot of places, and she's actually a real expert in humor and grief. So it says, humor as a negotiation tool, or how humor saved the world. If you can get your glasses, reading glasses and microscopes out, and you want to read this later on, basically, America and Russia were at the brink of nuclear war, because who remembers the Cuban Missile Crisis, okay? So during the Cuban Missile Crisis, kind of, I don't know, having deja vu about this, okay? As the American and Soviet delegates came together to negotiate, tensions were high and they soon became deadlocked. A Russian delegate told a joke. What is the difference between capitalism and communism, he said. They said, we don't know. And he said, well, in capitalism, man exploits man. In communism, it's the other way around. And actually, this particular joke, because it really didn't point the finger at anybody, it pointed a finger at everyone, helped a lot in these negotiations that went on. And please read the rest of that article, if you can. I'm sorry about the small print. So what we're really going to talk about tonight is working on your own humor reserve. A humor reserve means that you have exposed yourself to humor, you have laughed, you have made an effort to add more humor and laughter to your life. And this helps you be resilient, and it actually helps you respond in a more relaxed, encouraging, and optimistic way when you're involved in conflict. So when we talk about humor and laughter, we're really not talking about belly laughing in the middle of mediation, unless something naturally strikes the group as funny. And if that happens, that's just amazing, because if something has happened that has made everyone in the group laugh, you have already made everyone connect with each other. So, but it's not something you can force. It's something that's got to come naturally. So what I'm going to teach you tonight is ways for you to add more humor and laughter, your personal self, so that it will come naturally to you when you're in mediations. So, what is the biggest problem for a mediator? What do you think?
Listening.
Listening. Anything else? Neutrality. Okay. So you're talking basically about skill sets in the mediation room. You're not at all thinking about what is really the biggest problem for you as mediators. Let me see if this sounds familiar. Has anyone had compassion fatigue?
Yes.
Okay. Do we understand what compassion fatigue is? We think it's something, oh, we feel worn out, we feel tired, whatever, we've worked really hard. The reality is that your brain has all kinds of neurons that have different functions. And there's a part of your brain that has what we like to call, their nickname is the mirror neuron. The mirror neuron is a survival neuron. It wants you to get along with people. It wants you to agree and feel another person's emotions. So when you spend a lot of time face-to-face with people in an emotional situation, you are going to pick up those emotions. You're going to carry them with you. The best example I can give you is this. What do you say when you see that?
Aww.
Ah, right? I used a dog because even a little kid crying or something like that will not get the reaction from most people that a sad-looking dog gets. Okay, those are your mirror neurons saying, oh, what's wrong with him? I just want to help. I just want to pet him. And this is why cat and dog videos are so popular on the internet, because they get our mirror neurons up and going. We feel for the animals, and then we get a little endorphin rush. So that's what compassion fatigue does. You look, you listen, you reflect it back. So there's another saying that we're all supposed to remember, people who are in the people business. How many people remember this? Right. How many people follow it? We try to, right? I don't have time to take care of myself. I have to go from here to there. I have to run to this meeting, to that meeting. I don't have time to do this and that for myself. Let me show you somebody who understands this more than any of us. This is a firefighter. Firefighters handle emergent situations where lives are at risk. They need speed, they need strength, they need to get where they're needed and help people. However, they cannot go without their equipment. They cannot go without their oxygen mask, their fireproof suit, their helmet, their axe, the things that they need. This is an example of taking care of yourself before you take care of anyone else. Okay? And in our lives, most of us at some time or another are putting out metaphorical fires. Would you agree with that, that in mediation you are putting out fires? Okay? You must put on your equipment. So this brings us to the difference between wellness and well-being. Wellness is talked about a lot these days, and especially in companies and health insurance companies or whatever, they'll tell you, oh, we have these great wellness programs. We're going to take your blood pressure, we're going to weigh you, we're going to take your cholesterol, we're going to give you a Fitbit and give you $25 to wear that Fitbit and report to us all the time. That's great. That's physical health. But what they're forgetting is the other part here that the National Institute of Health talks about, emotional coping. And emotional coping is what we call well-being. This is the presence of positive emotions. It's the absence of negative emotions, not recognizing negative emotions, but working to have an absence. All right, it's satisfaction of life and positive functioning. I have yet to hear a health insurance company say to me, all right, we have this great program for you to give you satisfaction with life. They don't. Maybe now they will. So there are ways to enhance well-being, and I know a lot of you have heard a lot of these things, okay? In fact, there's so many ways of enhancing well-being being promoted all over the place now, it's hard to pick one. Mindfulness, heard of mindfulness? Yeah. Mindfulness this, mindfulness that, everything is mindfulness. Basically, mindfulness is being present in the moment. You can go to a fancy class where they'll do some mindfulness meditation or mindfulness yoga or this, but be present in the moment. I mention this first because the rest of the things on this list, if you don't do them mindfully, they're not worth anything to you. Meditation. Has anyone tried meditation? Very good for you. Functional MRIs show some very good things in the brain. And of course, meditation, the king of being mindful. Exercise, the next thing. Exercise in a mindful way though. Don't be there on the treadmill saying, oh my God, I can't wait till this is over and I have to go to a meeting after this and there's so many things I have to do. No, be mindful. Be mindful in the way that I'm exercising. I'm aware of my feet hitting the floor. I'm aware of my steps. I'm aware of my breathing. Am I breathing well or am I just panting? That's being mindful for exercise. Gratitude. Gratitude is more than saying please and thank you to people. To have gratitude in a mindful way, you need every day to sit down, maybe before you go to sleep at night, and find 3 things to be grateful for in that day. Very hard to do at first, yet this is proven as one of the best ways to relieve your stress. And I know that some days you are only going to be able to say, oh, I'm just happy this day is over. Okay? That's gratitude. I'm not going to take that away from you. But if that's all you can say for that day, go with it. All right, fun with friends. Here's another thing we don't often do mindfully. Go out to a movie. A movie's passive. It's really nice to be with our friends, but unless afterwards we say, let's go for coffee, let's chat, let's look each other in the eyes and talk about something, let's laugh together, that's where you get your stress relief and your resilience is from the interaction with people. Fun at work. Who has fun at work? Anybody? Okay. Fun at work is so important. Anybody remember the shoe company Zappos?
Yeah.
Zappos was very famous for a while because of their really great customer service and the way they trained their customer service people. Okay. Once upon a time, I had to answer phones for Carnival Cruise Line. We got no training on being a nice customer service person. None at all. That's bottom of the barrel. And yet, you're front-facing with the customers of the company. So Zappos has gotten so into this that they have created a new company called Delivering Happiness. And Delivering Happiness comes into businesses and actually trains people to introduce fun in the workplace in little bites, 10-minute segments here and there on company time, which is a very important point, that actually helps people work together better and find more satisfaction with their jobs. Millennials especially are more interested in company culture than paycheck. And they will leave a good paying job if they don't feel that the company culture is good. At one of the seminars I went to not too long ago, I heard about, I think it's Ernst & Young. Very, very prestigious place to get in if you're in accounting. Anyone who's hired by them gets a trip to Disney World. And that's great, they love it. After that, no fun for you. Ernst & Young, nose to the grindstone, long hours, overtime, that's it, you're done. So enjoy that trip to Disney, and that's it for you. Hobbies. Hobbies are really good ways to be mindful and to de-stress yourself, because hobbies have the tendency to occupy both parts of your brain, because usually it's something you're doing, something that has so many steps, or has, even if it's something like bowling, it has rules and it has a predictable pattern or whatever, and it distracts you. Crocheting, knitting, things like that, painting, coloring. Coloring is really great, except I have to say, my son told me this and I agree with him. Some of those coloring books and adult ones have such teeny tiny little spaces in there to color that it becomes a real frustration to stay in the lines. Because you know, we've been told since kindergarten, stay in those lines. So I would say, avoid those if you can.
Or just acknowledge you don't have to stay within the law.
That's right. That's right. That's right. You can go all Leroy Neiman on them and just. All right. Another thing is unplug. We hear about this a lot. For most of us, it's almost virtually impossible. We're 24/7, got work, calling, family, whatever. I say try 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Put your phone down, close the computer, go outside, even if it's to stand in the parking lot of your office. And for 5 minutes, just stare at the sky. Don't stare at the sun, please. Okay, staring at the sun is bad. But stare at the sky. Listen to birds if you can hear anywhere you are. Notice what color the leaves of the trees are. 5 minutes. That goes a long way to increasing your resilience. It really does. And remember, if you're going to tell yourself, I don't have 5 minutes to take care of me, remember the firemen. Volunteering. Again, like gratitude, volunteering is one of the best things you can do for your own well-being. When people are involved in doing things for other people, both sides of the brain are occupied, and you get a release of endorphins and a good feeling. I mean, don't tell the people you're volunteering with that, you know, I'm just doing this for myself, you know, but really, volunteering does as much for you as it does for the people that you're helping. Okay, there's my story about me time. Many parents could probably identify with this. I had to learn when my children were small that taking them to an activity, sitting there and watching them was not me time. And I had to convince the other half of the parenting that it was not me time. Me time is time just for you. It is not for grocery shopping. It is not for dropping things off at FedEx. Me time, again, if only a 5 minute chunk, is for you. Something you like, something you want to do, something even doing nothing. Manicures, pedicures, things like that. Things that are just for you. And otherwise, it's just added to your stress. Same thing for family time. Family time is not running to soccer practice, dropping off and running back. However, family time can be the 15 minutes in the car that you're alone with your children. if you speak with them about meaningful things, or even not meaningful things. My kids and I don't even know what we were talking about. We would laugh so hard sometimes I would have to pull over. But that's family time, where you are interacting. And again, 5-minute segments. It doesn't have to be, okay, now we're gonna plan this big picnic and we're all going to this and we're all gonna have a good time. You understand? We're all gonna have a good time. It's nice to plan things, but 5-minute increments, that's what's gonna help you. And what I'm here to talk about mostly is the international language of laughter. In your packet is a laughter test. I'd like you to take a pen and look at that laughter test. It's probably second page. Take a few minutes and take that quiz. There are no right and wrong answers, and we're not going to compare with each other our results. Just take a couple of minutes and fill that out. And for those of you who are watching at home, I will make this PDF available to your association to post wherever they'd like so that you can do this test at home. Basically, what we're doing is asking people how, where, and when they laugh. And then there's scores that go with it. And at the bottom of the sheet are recommendations according to your score. Of course, my opinion is no matter what people score, they can always improve it. So I'm just going to give everyone a few more minutes. So add up your score and check out the bottom of the key, and there's some suggestions there for you about how to add more laughter and humor to your life. And we're going to talk about some of those things as we go on. Okay, so everybody okay now? All right. Now, I'm going to ask you to put your papers down and your pens down and turn to the page that says Sense of Humor Locator. This is how we're gonna learn why jokes are not the best thing in your life to be using in the workplace, okay? I have my little flyer here, and there are 26 types of humor listed here in alphabetical order. Doesn't necessarily cover all types of humor. What I'm going to ask you who are in the room here to do, and I know we're a little tight around the tables, but if you could push your chairs back, and when I read a kind of humor that you enjoy, I would like you to please stand up. And I would like you to remain standing as long as the type of humor I read is something you enjoy. If it is not something you enjoy, I'm going to ask you to sit down. Okay? So let's start out with something. Okay, who likes puns? Anybody like puns?
Sure.
All right, okay. A few people standing up. All right, so how about gross humor? Who likes gross humor? Every sixth grader in middle high school, okay.
Being honest.
Okay?
Not being.
How about risque humor? Who likes risque humor?
Well, it can be okay.
We got to be honest on this, right?
All right, how about, well, we'll go from risque to X-rated humor. It's the next step.
No.
Okay. How about hostile humor? Okay, all right. Thinking about New Yorker cartoons, who likes abstract humor? All right. All right. Insulting humor? Droll humor. Think of British humor. All right. Parodies. Who likes parodies? And let's pick one more. Self-deprecating humor.
It can be cute.
Okay, you can all sit down now. I hope you were looking around. And for those of you who are watching this on video, I don't think we had one type of humor that everyone was standing for. Okay? The point of this exercise is to show you that you can tell a joke in the workplace, you can tell a joke in mediation that you think is hilarious, and 3 of the people in the room will agree with you and 5 of them won't, okay? We have a situation where many people have lost jobs because they have sent a joke over email. And someone didn't like it, it was offensive in some respect, okay? Jokes are very dangerous when you're in a situation where you don't know the people. So I caution you using jokes in mediation. A cartoon like we had at the beginning of the presentation is perhaps something you could share. Again, reading it carefully for context. I would call that what we showed in the beginning as amusing, because it's really not realistic. It's kind of a little funny and silly, but it really didn't, well, I don't know, unless you had a no dancing policy at where you work, you know, then you might not like it. Okay, again, we're talking about hurtful humor, okay? Mark Twain said that the human race has one of the best weapons in the world, and that weapon is laughter. And laughter is a sword that cuts both ways, okay? So I read something about lawyers using humor in the courtroom. And one of the things that they put in this study was that it was mostly to make the opposing counsel look foolish. That's hurtful humor. It happens, it does happen a lot in courtrooms, okay? That's not gonna add to your resilience. Even if you feel like, you know, you've got one over on the other person, that's not gonna add to your resilience. So avoid hurtful humor, okay? Humor, actually, and laughter is a survival tool. Anthropologists are now studying laughter, and they believe that humans actually laughed before they spoke. And that laughter was a way of showing to another human, I'm safe and I'm not going to hurt you. One of the things that we see with the development of children is that laughter comes before speech. And children laugh, babies laugh, not because something is funny. They laugh because they may be happy. Sure, they're happy and they're seeing mommy or daddy or Grammy or babysitter. But the reality is they are a little defenseless being. They need you to like them. They need you to want to take care of them. They need you to watch out for them. So they laugh. What do? You laugh back. When you laugh and the baby laughs, mirror neurons kick in, your brains start to sync together, and the baby and you feel more relaxed, and the baby says, oh, I will be taken care of now. So humor and laughter is a survival tool. Dr. Paul McGee has a wonderful book called Humor as a Survival Tool. And in that, he talks about the ways that you can add more laughter and humor to your life. And some of it was in your list there. Surrounding yourself with humor, funny movies, funny books, comics, cartoons. Cultivating a playful attitude. All right, again, I know I'm using little babies a lot in my talk. It's because I had my 6th grandchild born Monday night. So it's kind of in my mind, thank you. How many people say to their toddler, let's clean up the playroom, let's race, let's see how we can do it fast, we'll make a game out of it. Most of the time, the adult is running, picking up the toys and putting them away, and the baby's laughing. Look what I got you to do. But that's a playful attitude. That's cultivating a playful attitude. Using props for comic relief. All right. There are famous props. The red nose. Keep one of these in your car. You cut somebody off accidentally in traffic. Most of the time, they're not going to slam into you. Unless they have that fear of clowns. Thank you, Stephen King. Okay. And again, laugh more often. I'm going to teach you in a little bit how to laugh for no reason and find humor in daily life. One of the best things you can do at work or with your friends is to find something that happened to you that can be turned into a funny story. Does anybody remember Everybody Loves Raymond? Okay. One of my favorite shows. One of my favorite shows because it seemed to parallel my life. I found out from the producer, I went to a program where he was at, he said every Monday the writers sat down at a table and they went around and said, what happened at your house this weekend? What happened at your house this weekend? What happened at your house this weekend? And those stories became the basis for many of the plots of that show. If anybody remembers the Fruit of the Month Club, that really did happen to someone where he gave a Fruit of the Month basket to his in-laws who became horrified. We can't afford our own fruit. We can do this. It's so much. And when he told them to share with your friends, well, they can afford their own fruit. They'll think they're poor, or they're not poor. And then when they heard that more was coming every other month, was, oh my God, what have you done to us? So that was the plot of the pilot episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. And it really happened to somebody there. And all this kind of adds up to taking yourself lightly. I know you are very serious people doing very serious work. You deal with uncomfortable situations. Bad things may have happened to people not getting along. It is hard sometimes to take yourself lightly. Treat yourself lightly. Don't be so hard on yourself. Try to step back and build up your humor resistance. Another thing we talk about is humor and grief. And I think depending on the situations that you deal with, you may have people who are grieving personal losses, grieving business losses, grieving relationship losses. Grieving is, spreads out over a lot of things. When my mother passed away, she was young. And we were kind of shocked. And, we were going through the funeral home and all that. And my 3 sisters and I, we stuck together. And at one point, we started talking about Mom, and we just started laughing. And we kind of like did this. And, oh, this is so inappropriate. Oh, God, but do you remember when Mom did this? What she did? Oh, come on, do you remember this? And we were laughing. And pretty soon, my uncles, my aunts said, oh, when your mother was a child, she did this, she did that. We had wonderful laughter at my mother's funeral. It was not disrespectful. It did not discredit our grief and her loss. But what it did was give us comfort and peace, because laughter is the first step to healing. So when you're dealing with people who are in these kinds of really tough situations, it's okay if they laugh. It's okay if you laugh, as long as it's not a laugh at anyone, but just something strikes you funny in your mediation, it's okay to laugh. It does not discredit what they're going through. And I will use another fireman to help bring this point home. This is the gravestone of James Bechtel. He's a Metuchen, New Jersey firefighter. He had an illness and he knew he was going to die. And he said to his wife, "This is what I want on my tombstone. I want the Three Stooges because they're my favorite." Again, slapstick humor. I don't know who likes slapstick humor. Not my favorite, but it was his favorite. His wife had to go to China to get those heads done because they are trademark symbols and no stone cutter in the United States would do that. Okay, so she went to China, got those heads. Then she had, I don't know if you can read this from where you are, but inscribed on his tombstone is "Laugh, don't weep, it feels better." This is what he wanted his last message to his friends to be, true to his personality. Several months ago, 4 firefighters were killed in New York when a building collapsed on them. They televised the memorial service for them, and one of the firefighters' sons stood up and he referred to this. And he said, "And this is what my father would want too. Laugh, don't weep, it feels better." So there is space in grief for laughter because it really is part of healing and helps you move forward and be respectful to whatever your situation is. So let's get to the next audience participation thing. Would you please take a straw out of here and pass the box around?
Sure.
Thanks.
Psychologists have known for a couple hundred years that the very act of smiling helps you feel better. They advise people who are depressed or anxious to smile even when they don't feel like it. The caveat is you have to learn how to smile properly. Okay? In Miss America Smile doesn't cut it. It's called a Duchenne smile, and that means smiling with your whole face. It means using your eyes to smile. And sometimes the only way you can really generate that smile is to look at someone and smile. Even especially if they're a stranger. And one of the best ways you can practice this in the privacy of your own home or office is with a straw. We're going to use it here. And also, these straws are plastic, so now that you've taken one, you have to keep it forever because you can't get rid of it. So this is going to be your smiling straw for the rest of your life. Okay, I did my environmental service. You know, we're picking our favorite colors, and I understand. All right, and I'll do this with you too, so those who are watching from, I know, they're hard to get out, they are. That's because nobody smokes anymore. If we were smokers, we would know how to get this kind of stuff out of a box, no problem. All right, so now you're gonna take the straw and you're gonna put it between your teeth. I'm waiting for everyone. Now you have activated your smiling muscles. That's 1/2. I didn't give you any reason to smile, but you are smiling. And those muscles are telling your brain, we're happy for some reason. Something is making us happy. Let's release endorphins. Let's release endorphins. Okay, so now to get the rest of your face involved, you take the straw, you hold it, and now you look at somebody. In the eyes. Okay, so now some of you even started laughing. I don't know why, but you started laughing, and guess what? Those mirror neurons kicked in, so the other person has to laugh. If I were to yawn right now, half of you would probably yawn. If I were to cry right now, some of you would feel like crying. And if, I was sick, people would feel sick too. But smiling is the best thing. From now on, go down the street, go in the mall, whatever, and smile at people.
You have to bring this?
You don't, only if you need to practice, okay? But you can keep it in your pocket if you need to practice. I know sometimes we need a prop to practice. You can tell people, listen, I have to do this. You know, my laughter therapist told me this is a very important exercise I have to do. And, you know, blame me. Smiling at strangers, you're going to release endorphins in your brain and in theirs, except for a couple of examples. And one of them is Norway. In Norway, if you smile at a stranger, they have two things they think about you. The first, mentally unstable. The second, American.
Not the same?
And you know, I thought this was just something I read on the internet. You know, if you see it on the internet, it has to be true. I met someone from Norway at an Association for Applied Humor and Therapy, and I asked him, I said, Harold, you know, I saw this on the internet. And he said, he smiled at me, and he said, yes, it's very true. He says, we don't trust people who smile. Even though they're very warm and friendly with their hig things that they do in the winter with their family and all that, smiling at strangers, it's not something they do. The Norwegian government even tried to improve the situation by creating friendship benches. They've put friendship benches all around the parks or whatever to encourage people to sit together, smile, and talk. The problem is the benches are 10 feet long. And you have a person sitting over here, like this, and you have a person sitting over here like this. So it wasn't successful. This is so pervasive in Norwegian, in Scandinavian countries, that there are these books. This is the one, The Social Guide to Norway. If you can see this, underneath it, it says happy. That's a happy Norwegian, okay? This one here, sad. That's a sad Norwegian, okay? This here, angry. That's an angry Norwegian. And you know what this one is? Drunk.
Wow.
So there you go. All right. There's another country that has a bad reputation about smiling, and that is Russia. Russia has a reputation for having very dour people, and this is what they had to do for the World Cup.
Look at their straight face.
Yeah.
Russian people usually don't smile. That's why when other people come to Russia, they think that Russian people are not friendly. We need to teach them how to smile. We need to change their attitude.
In Russia, a smile in public can land you in trouble. I got stopped by a policeman, and I was quite angry about it, and he asked me to show my ID. Afterwards, I asked him why did he stop me, and he said to me, because he was smiling. That's what he said literally, because it is strange, just a person walk on the street and smile. It looked alien and suspicious.
You didn't hear that? The policeman was suspicious of her because she was smiling. This is laughter yoga.
Oh.
Give me joy, energy of that everything is possible, and I can do everything.
To watch it unprepared, without being explained to you what it is, it can be scary. I agree to that completely. because again, sometimes we think that people laughing maniacally like that are
This is the perfect mortgage.
maniacs.
Instant, you're in the market.
You have to laugh for a
Yes, it's a
reason. I think of the Joker. You know, my grandson loves the Joker laugh, but I'm going to tell you, it scares the heck out of me. So where are we now? Okay, we're on this page. All right, so that's Russia. If you want to really know about the effects of laughter on your health and how good it is for you, there are 3 very good sources. Norman Cousins, who wrote the book Anatomy of an Illness. If anyone remembers him,
Yes.
he was a magazine editor. He had a very serious spinal disorder, and his doctor told him, go home, get your affairs in order, you're done. He didn't take that very well, and he said, well, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die laughing. And he asked all his friends in Hollywood to bring him movies and things, you know, big reel-to-reel movies to watch and laugh. He found that laughing, belly laugh for 10 minutes gave him 4 hours of pain relief. He lived 30, 40 years after that diagnosis and died of something completely unrelated. Dr. Patch Adams, anyone know Dr. Patch Adams? He belongs to the Association for Applied and Therapeutic Humor with me. He operates the Gesundheit Institute, and he has now actually opened a clinic where laughter and humor is part of the treatment plan for every person who goes there. Cancer Treatment Centers of America also have that as part of their treatment plan. And of course, Dr. Gataria, who started what you saw as laughter yoga. He read about how good humor was for you and laughter, and he wanted to bring laughter to people, you know, as an exercise. So he started out taking everybody, you know, his friends from Mumbai into the park in India. Let's tell jokes. First day, great, funny jokes, everybody laughed. Second day, not so funny jokes. Third day, nobody had anything, and he realized this isn't going to work. So he came up with the concept of laughter yoga, which as Americans, I have to tell you, it has very little to do with what we conceive of as yoga. It involves the pranayama breathing that you use in yoga, but he uses the word yoga as they do in India, meaning a practice. So laughter yoga really means a laughter practice. And he developed these exercises that you warm up to before you get to that part. It takes a while to get to that part. But basically, you're laughing as an exercise to get some endorphins, raise your heart rate, get a little exercise, and feel better. We now know also that laughter is the new meditation. Remember I told you about how meditation changes your brain? Laughter does the exact same thing. So if you've struggled with meditation, fallen asleep, found your mind wandering or whatever, don't feel guilty anymore. You can laugh and tell everybody, yeah, I meditate. The whole idea about this is that we think our brain is in charge of everything and that our brain is running the show. The reality is you can fool your brain, especially with laughter. If you like smiling, if you are making the sounds of laughter, ha 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 ha, ho 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 ho, he 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 he, again, your brain says, okay, we're making that sound, something must be funny, I'm gonna release endorphins. The brain does not know the difference between hearty belly laughter and fake laughter. Laughter just done as a sound, as an exercise. The body does not know the difference. So that's why you see these people laughing maniacally, because they are simulating laughter, they're getting into it in deep breathing, and eventually it does turn into real laughter for many people. So now we get to the interactive part of tonight's presentation. This is all you need to do. Breathe. We're going to breathe. We're going to use yogic pranayama. Laugh. Now I'm going to ask you to just start with a chuckle and see where it goes. Okay? Have a little bit of a childlike attitude of like, okay, I'll try this. you know, I'll make a little laughter sounds. I'll see where it goes. Laughter is the king of cross-brain activities. And when you are involved in a cross-brain activity, stress really has no room to be. Okay, and move. We're gonna do a little movements, and that's gonna give you some aerobic exercise. I have my Fitbit on. I'll let you know how much my heart rate has gone up while we're doing this. You can sit or stand. This is only done to tolerance. We're gonna try and fake it till we make it. We're gonna try and think of ourselves as children, as babies who laugh for no reason. Very important. This is not a no pain, no gain thing. We're not in the gym. Only do things to your tolerance. Make eye contact. All right, so there's two things here. The first is called laughter breathing. Those of you who would like to stand up, please stand up. If you're more comfortable to sit, that's fine too. And if you're watching at home, up, let's go. I can see you. That's how great this technology is that they have here. Okay, here we go. So the first thing we're gonna do is laughter breathing. Basically, what we wanna do is get some good oxygen in our body, take a deep breath, and use laughter. So the first thing, let's try just a deep breath. Breathe in through your mouth and blow out through your mouth. Now the second one, breathe in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. Okay, so most of us probably have gotten some oxygen down to these parts of our chest, maybe, you know, further down than our bronchial tubes, maybe, okay? This time, I want you to breathe in really as deeply as you possibly can. When you breathe out, you're going to laugh. Ready? Breathe in and out. One more time, breathe in and out. That was very good. You all just laughed for no reason, okay? You just released some endorphins into your bloodstream, got some fresh oxygen up to your brain, and nothing was funny. Well, maybe something was funny. Okay, let's try it one more time. Breathe in and laugh. There you go. So that's a laughter breathing. We do that in between laughter exercises in a full laughter wellness session. All right? The other thing you need to learn is the parts of your body that are defined by laughter, because those parts of your body you don't use too often. So there's this guy who's in the mall, you know, every December with the red suit, and he sort of acts like he has a, you know, a trademark on the term ho, 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 okay? And they talk about his belly. Well, because ho, ho, ho is a belly laugh. So if you put your hand on your belly, take a deep breath in, I want you to feel some movement in that belly when you do this. Ho, 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 ho. All right, try it again. Ho, ho, ho. All right, so that is getting oxygen down to your diaphragm. Most of us are not living there. Most of us are not living there during the day, especially if we're doing a lot of work sitting and things at the computer and whatever. You are not breathing here. Okay. The second laughter word is ha. And ha lives kind of here in your chest. So you take a breath in. Let's see if we can move this part of your chest. Ha, ha, ha. All right, one more time. Ha, ha, ha. All right. Now, here is where it's the easiest for all of us. This is where we all live in our bronchial tubes. This is where we're breathing every day. This is where we're speaking. Okay? This is why when we go to a sports event and we scream and yell, we come home, we can't talk because we're breathing from here. Okay? I've worked with children in the chorus and cheerleaders, all to try and get them to cheer and sing from down here so that they have a voice left at the end of the day. But for now, we're going to use the laughter term he, he. And if you have your hand up near your throat, you'll actually feel some vibration there because this is where the breath is. So ready? Breathe in. Hee, hee, hee. I'm watching you at home. Yeah, you. I'm watching you. Okay, come on. All right, let's try it one more time. Okay, so then we put this whole thing together as an exercise, and there's one other part we do just because we can. At the very end, we do this. Whee! Whee!
Whee!
Okay?
Okay.
Because we do it, because it's fun, because it's silly, because it makes us laugh, okay? So we're gonna start here. Ho, ho, ho. Hee, hee, hee. Oops. Ha, ha, ha. Whee! And I got it backwards. Let's try it again. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. Hee, hee, hee. Whee! All right. So now you've learned where laughter lives. If you have small children, they love to do this. It's a good excuse for you to get some oxygen in, to get some endorphins, and to play with the kids. If you have a Fitbit or anything that takes your pulse, okay, my pulse is normally somewhere around 65. Right now it's 93, okay? Just that kind of breathing over and over again is giving you an aerobic exercise. And that's how you get the oxygen into your brain. So this is all just a ploy to feed your brain. All right, you can sit down again if you'd like. The benefit to mediators who pass this to clients is you build up your humor reserve, which increases your resilience, which enhances your well-being, which improves your communication skills, personal ability, focusing ability, and when appropriate, your sense of humor, which is contagious. And that's how you can add a little humor and laughter to your mediation sessions, not with jokes, but with your humor reserve. Now, before I go on to my last part of my presentation, who has questions for me? Okay, I have questions for you. Who thinks that they would like to try a laughter wellness session, a couple of exercises? Would you like to try a couple? All right, let's stand up again. And you two at home. The laughter wellness exercises we do, we start with those breathing exercises, and then to keep it going with our heart rate and the oxygen, we mime some things we do every day. So what's something you do every day?
Sit down.
Okay, well, guess what? We're gonna do sitting down laughter. And sitting down laughter means you sit, you laugh, you stand up, you laugh, you sit, you laugh, you stand up, you laugh. You thought that was gonna be easy. All right, ready? Oh, and you laugh and look at other people, because again, laughter is contagious. Okay, ready? Sitting laughter, go. And then we stand up and do ho, 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 ha, 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 hee, 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 whee. Deep breath in and laughter out. Okay, what's something else you do every day?
Drink coffee.
All right, drink coffee. So now we're going to mind not just drinking the coffee, we have to pour the coffee, stir it, whatever, taste it, it might be too hot, and all the time we're going to laugh. So ready? Coffee, laughter, go. Ho, 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 ha, 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 hee, 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 whee. Breathe in and out. All right, I'm gonna give you one because everybody does this. Most of us, unless we work at home and stay at home and or have chauffeurs, maybe you do. Driving laughter, okay? Driving in New Jersey is especially hilarious, right? It really is, because you can be going 60 miles an hour 1 minute and then 4 miles an hour for the next 10 minutes. All the time your GPS is saying, you have 1 mile to go, 1 mile to go. And you're gonna take 20 minutes to go that 1 mile. So anyway, let's drive in New Jersey. And if you're driving, remember, you may be turning and moving around. So ready? Driving in New Jersey. Oh no, here's a red light. Oh, you want to pass me? I don't think so. Oh, yeah, I see you. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. Hee, hee, hee. Whee! Imagine doing that, different exercises for 45 minutes. That's a workout. Then there's one more thing I want to teach you, because this is something you can take home and you can actually use. It's called laughter meditation. We talked a little bit about laughter, doing the same thing for you as meditation. This is how you can do meditation and laughter at the same time. You can also do this silently. Like if you're in your office and you need a break, you can just shut your door and do this silently. And I'll show you how to do that second part with the straw. All right, so we're going to close our eyes, plant both our feet on the floor, hands in our laps in a comfortable position. And yeah, all that stuff about emptying your mind or whatever. And you're just going to know that somewhere down in your ho-ho-ho area of your body, there's a chuckle. And it wants to get up through the ho-ho-ho area, to the ha-ha-ha area, to the he-he-he area, and out of your mouth. So maybe you just start. It starts coming out. And eventually, you have to open your mouth and let it out. And remember, if you're only going ha 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 ha, ha ha ha, that's faking it till you're making it worse. And then you take a deep breath and blow it out. Sorry, microphone. And then you try and find that chuckle again. Deep breath in and out. Okay, well, you know, there's a meeting going on in the office next door to you, so, you know. You don't want them coming in and seeing what's going on. So the important thing is to just do the breathing part. This takes a little practice, but you can do this. Give that a try. Take a deep breath in and out. Okay, you did the breathing part. The breathing part is what's important, not the sound part. And this is something you can do. You're giving a presentation, do this beforehand. It gets your blood, your pulse up. It gets you full of energy. You're ready to go. You've had a rough day. You need to go and close the, so you go home, you close the bathroom door. Nobody knows what you're doing in there. Just look at yourself in the mirror and do that. That's one of really, eye contact with yourself can really help you laugh. So those are just some of the things you learn in a laughter wellness session. And different laughter leaders do different things, but basically it's all to get you to laugh as an exercise, to oxygenate your brain, de-stress, and get up your humor reserve. And if you don't have any more questions for me, I have something that I'd like to show everyone to leave you with, because sometimes it's not what makes you laugh, sometimes it's just what makes you smile. Any more questions?
I just wanted to say that when I'm a social worker, and I would do grief recovery workshops with the widows and widowers, and during the course of the workshop, there would be laughter. Here are people who just lost their spouses.
Yes.
And they'd be crying, and then they'd laugh, and then they'd cry. So the laughter activated the tears.
Yes, the laughter, often, sometimes in a laughter wellness session, people will cry. And we always do a guided relaxation at the end of the class to bring people back, you know, on a level. Laughter and tears are two sides of the same coin. They give you, it both gives you emotional relief. And sometimes, especially for people who are in grief and haven't cried yet, laughter will very often bring that on. Yeah. Do you have a question? Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I always like to say I have as much fun as everybody else. I hope you had some fun and learned some new stuff. And I hope you all end up like this at the end of your mediation, so smiling with everybody. And I'm going to, let's see if I can make this. I'm going to find where the music is playing.
All the days that come far behind this wall, I'll be left at the end of things in a world that's small. Try what I know, I'll be swept away. I need to know I can be lost. Not afraid. We're gonna trip the light. We're gonna break the light. And we'll see where you are when we trip the light. Remember we're lost together. Remember we're the same. We hold the burning rhythm in our hearts. We hold the flame. We're gonna trip the light. We're gonna break the night. We'll see if you are when we trip the light. We're gonna trip the light. We're gonna break the night. We'll see if you are when we trip the light.
I was once alone. Back from where I've been. As the sun will rise, we are all alone again. We're gonna turn the light. We're gonna break the night. And we'll see through light. When we tread the light, I'm gonna tread the light. We're gonna break the night. And we'll see through light. We're gonna tread the light. We're gonna break the night, and we'll sing with new eyes. When we tread the light, we're gonna tread the light. We're gonna break the night, and we'll see new eyes. We're gonna tread the light.
I get emotional every time I watch this. I feel like this guy can go around the world and get people to do all this together. There's like still hope for the world. And this makes me smile and release some endorphins in my brain. I hope you like it. Just a little update. His name is Matt, and he is continuing to do this with his 2 little kids. That's some big river gorge bridge that is scary to me.